Anyway, so let's get to this cretin. The more I see him, the more I think he's too much of a greasy debate nerd for the Republican Party to like adopt him as a candidate that is better than even Ron DeSantis. I'm not gonna lie, he's too much of a debate lord. I think Trump has a way of dancing around these issues while, dog whistling or bullhorning it. And Ramaswamy doesn't have that. He doesn't have that same charisma. He just comes across like a very annoying, smarmy, like hyper-intellectual loser. Okay? Let's take a look at this video. I think you will understand. Yeah, we'll talk about Vivek on CNN in a second. First, let's get started on this one.
There are more race-based violent crimes on the right than on the left. Why is this a lot more pervasive on the right?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I think that there's a lot more violence that's also pervasive in parts of the country that supposedly are left-wing voter bases. So I don't think this is a left versus right issue, and I don't think we should try to politicize this through partisan goggles either, Chuck, especially in the wake of a tragedy.
Yeah, let's not get partisan with it, dude. Also, this is a really funny, it's gross, it's disgusting, but it's also a kind of funny way to cover this where, you know how Trump always does this thing where he'll be like, I shouldn't be arrested for the classified documents thing, okay, because I have the right to be able to hold classified documents, whereas Joe Biden should be arrested for his classified documents. It's like, it's a situation where there's no consistency unless you think it's okay when I do it, it's not okay when you do it, right? He's doing that exact same thing here where he goes from, I don't think we should politicize this white supremacist shooting into immediately, and we also should definitely politicize the trans shooter in Nashville, which is, really fucking stupid because there is no like trans ideology. That's number one. Like white supremacy is a tangible, understandable ideology that you can associate with. You can see movements behind around it. Being trans is just a state of existence. Okay? Don't say yes, there is. No, playing paradox games is not an ideology. Wearing coder socks and playing Fallout New Vegas sex mods is not a fucking ideology, okay? Shut the fuck up. Trans people in the chat being like, no, it's an ideology. That's not an ideology. It's a state of existence, okay? As I was saying. So he immediately turns this around and of course, puts the crosshairs on trans people.
Like this one. The fact is there are more black men dying on the south side of Chicago.
Do you ignore the elements that allowed...
He's like, dude, that's not what he asked. He didn't say, like, what's up with the violence? He said, what's up with the racialized violence on the fucking right? It's a very specific question.
This manifesto to spread online, and that what we're, it does feel as if social media connects some of these hateful ideologies.
Well, the fact of the matter is I do think we have two standards that we're even applying if we're having a conversation about manifestos. We still have not yet even seen the manifesto of that transgender shooter in Nashville of a Christian school.
He literally so openly is like, no. Avoid the manifesto that's out right now of this white supremacist shooter who had a swastika on his gun. That's not about ideology. Let's not talk about his ideology. But also, what about the trans shooter that had a manifesto that hasn't been released? It's like, bitch, that's not up to us. We don't have the diary, okay? It's fine. I don't have an issue seeing it, okay? I don't have an issue seeing the trans shooter's diary, okay? I don't care. Like, I would be fine seeing that, okay? But you can't, on the one hand, turn around and be like, where's the manifesto? It's in the hands of law enforcement. What do you mean? What do you mean, where's the manifesto? We know where the fucking manifesto is. It's in the hands of law enforcement, okay? Take it up with them. It's so weird. Like, what do you think? It's the FBI's in the pocket of fucking big trans or something? That, one, transness is an ideology in and of itself, and two, the FBI and law enforcement is cooperating with big trans? That is a psychotic whataboutism that doesn't even have any, that doesn't even have anything to stand on. Yeah, big law enforcement, man. Yeah, we got to abolish the police because they're in the pocket of big trans. Anyway, let's continue.
And yet here we're focusing on the motive. So if we want to look at this through a politicized lens, let's look at what the political media and the political establishment is doing differentially in how they analyze different crimes and then create a new narrative around it.
Dude, what are you saying? Like his deflection also quite literally can be answered with the question itself, okay? How many trans people have done shootings on behalf of what you claim is like transness and being big trans? How many? It's like one versus the majority. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, there is no fucking ideology there that's like, oh, being trans is about like getting a fucking AR-15 and shooting up a school, in the same way that like being a white supremacist, which is an ideology, a very dangerous one, okay, revolves around killing black and brown people. The only difference between the shooter and someone like Ben Shapiro is that he doesn't want to just accelerate the systems, okay? He doesn't want to accelerate the structural forms of oppression that exist every day like Ben does. He wants to put his put his finger on the scale and just like ram it in to black and brown communities. The shooter takes matters into his own hands because he says, fuck that. They're not helping. It's not enough. It's not enough that that black communities basically are treated as like domestic colonies in this fucking country. It's not enough. I need to take matters into my own fucking hands. That's what the difference is here. Anyway, the one good thing that's come out of this psychosis, however, is that, you know, it's very clear to me that this guy is pathetically unlikable, and he finds himself defending really idiotic points over and over again. It'll look good online. It'll translate well to all of the debate lords online that will turn around and go, yeah, he's our guy. He's our guy. He's doing a great job defending these like edgy positions. Ooh. It's like, yeah, good luck, dude. That doesn't make for a well-oiled national campaign, okay? It just doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work that way. Chuck taught the Vivek Ramaswamy, your argument comes across as blaming those that are trying to create equality for a rise in fascism. He does. This part was this part was just so awful.
So, you know, consequence of the so-called anti-racist movements.
Your argument.
He says that an act of white supremacist violence that occurred in Jacksonville happened because of like the minor amount of racial restitution offered in this country. That's why it happened. It's victim blaming. It's victim blaming. You know? What were they wearing? Were they asking for it? That's what this is, okay? He says it straight up. He says it in this interview and in the Dana Bash interview, where he just turns around and says, no, guys, nobody wants this kind of white supremacist action to happen, but it's happening because of the real racism of the Democratic Party. Like affirmative action. That's the reason why it's happening. And it's like, dude, you are not trying to become a new moderator on actual public freakouts, okay? That argument will work in a hyper-isolated, far-right echo chamber. That shit is going to have... You can do that on a fucking far-right Reddit echo chamber. You can't do that on national television. You fucking freak.
It comes across as blaming those that are trying to create equality for the rise in racism.
Well, the fact is, Chuck, I don't want to be playing a blame game. I want to be going...
Yeah, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't want to be playing the blame game, but Lord forgive me because I'm about to play the blame game.
...towards a solution. And I am genuinely worried that those who earnestly espouse the view, I'm going to quote Ibram Kendi from his book directly, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, says the right answer to past discrimination is present discrimination. The right answer to present discrimination is future discrimination. I believe the people who hold that view...
That's awesome. So, for the record, he is right. A chatter also called it. He is right, technically. The problem is you're not supposed to defend that, you fucking idiot. You're supposed to shit on that, okay? Like, that's the issue here. If he were to say, acts of white supremacist violence always come at the heels of like even marginal and oftentimes symbolic restitution afforded to black and brown communities, then he's right. Civil War is a good example. Okay? Lynchings in the Reconstruction era and a revitalization of the Klan is another example. Okay? White people get up in fucking arms anytime a crumb of civil liberties are afforded or given to black people. Okay? So he's not wrong. He's not wrong on that front. The issue is you're not supposed to say that it's the fault of the people offering a modicum of civil liberties to black and brown people. It's the fault that these people are fucking feeling entitled and emboldened to be able to enact such violence and such inhumanity, such cruelty. Okay? That's the problem. He turns the fucking crosshairs back to the institutions that are only symbolically looking to make it seem like they care about black people. That is what's insane to me. That is what is absolutely insane to me. That someone has the actual audacity to go after yet another white supremacist fucking mass shooting. Go on national television and be like, well, you know, it's just, this is going to happen. Yeah. How did you expect the slaver to react when his slave was freed? It's exactly what the take is.
You are earnest about it, but I think they're wrong. And I think that that's actually creating more discrimination and more division in our country. And I think...
Yeah, it's creating more discrimination. That's the problem. It's like, bro, you cannot turn around and lay the finger of blame at the marginal amount of restitution afforded to black people in the immediate aftermath of a fucking white supremacist shooting that happened after, in the state of Florida, things were taken away from black people. For example, the opportunity to learn black history. Okay? So how does that work? I'm not a big action reaction kind of guy, as I literally went through with detail, okay? Meticulously went through with detail all of the many different things that Ron DeSantis has done in the state of Florida and how that more so is going to be a problem later down the line and how it's not like an immediate action and an immediate reaction to said action. These things don't happen like that automatically, okay? But even then, you can't make that argument. The state of Florida is fighting woke. So from your own fucked up morality or from your own fucked up logical box that you have placed yourself inside of. So what is it? Because that Ron DeSantis is not fighting woke hard enough in the state of Florida? Is that what it is? Because it sure seems like he's fighting woke in the state of Florida. And guess what happened? This shit happened. It's not like this happened immediately after Ron DeSantis came out with like affirmative action policies in the state of Florida. It happened after he fucking did the exact opposite. This happened after the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action. And this, of course, once again, makes it seem like you agree with the shooter who also is spiritually harmed by these concepts, affirmative action, or they feel like black people are getting a handout, that they've taken positions in society away from the white man, white men like him. So do you agree with the shooter? Do you agree with what he did? If not, why don't you fucking clarify it? Because it sure seems like you're agreeing with the shooter right now.
And I think that that's actually creating more discrimination and more division in our country.
Wait, is he white? No, Vivek is not white, man. The fucking white supremacist shooter was, though. That's what I'm talking about.
And I think the right answer is actually to restore colorblind equality, colorblind meritocracy, embrace what unites us.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we got to embrace colorblind meritocracy. Okay. That's what Florida did. So why is that not working? Why did the exact opposite of that happen then?
Across our diversity, instead of celebrating our skin-deep diverse attributes. That's how I think we reunite this country, Chuck. And it's not blaming anybody else for having a different point of view.
This is also so fucking stupid because it's like, okay, So what's up? Was the antebellum South chattel slavery era? Was that colorblind unity and meritocracy occurring then? You know, was there no racialized violence back then? Because there certainly wasn't the affirmative action happening back then. There was no affirmative action. Is that the good old days? Is that better? Should we go back to that? Is that, you know? If it's affirmative action that's getting these fucking racist people to engage in such acts of individual violence, okay? Then is that the main reason? Is that the main reason chattel slavery happened? Please explain that to me.
But I do think that as a leader, it's my job to articulate exactly how we will unite this country. And that's exactly how I'm going to do it.
Let me move to...
Here's another Vivek getting fucking slammed, okay? So he made a comparison to Ayanna Pressley. He said Ayanna Pressley is like literally the Ku Klux Klan, okay? He is out of his fucking mind with these takes, okay? He's out of his fucking mind with these takes. And he doesn't have Trump-level television skills to be able to justify it. He comes across as too much of a debate lord. You know what I mean? And he got fucking owned by Dana Bash, okay?
I ask you about a comment that you made about white supremacy in Iowa on Friday.
I've never once encountered that yet. I'm sure the boogeyman white supremacist exists somewhere in America. I've just never met him. Never seen one. Never met one in my life, right? Maybe I'll meet a unicorn sooner. And maybe those exist too.
So just because somebody hasn't encountered one doesn't mean that the notion of white supremacy doesn't exist as a threat in America. What do you think goes through the minds of the families of the 3 victims in yesterday's shooting when they hear...
I've never seen a white supremacist that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I've never seen LeBron James in person in the real world. So doesn't exist to me. He's actually made up. He's a hologram. No human being could have that level of grace and athleticism trapped in a 6'8" body. Can't happen. So don't believe it.
You say that white supremacy is...
Also, I don't even believe that he's never seen a fucking white supremacist. He's been campaigning as a Republican, okay? The fuck do you mean you've never seen white supremacy? Yeah, he can't even do the no object permanence thing because he's in a fucking room where there's probably white supremacists. Like, the fuck are you talking about, man? Even the like no object permanence shit doesn't work here because you're in a room full of them, okay?
Is basically a fantasy.
I'm sure they're grieving for their loss, and I don't want to politicize those victims. Dana, this is a very sensitive situation where we should have nothing but foremost respect for those victims and not bring them into partisan politics. But
yeah, dude, totally. Yeah, you should ask those victims. You know, you should ask the victims' families what they think about white supremacy and whether or not you are the one who's currently politicizing it in the opposite direction and not in the direction that honors what happened to them. You know what I mean? It's crazy. They're so obviously just like, first of all, they rush immediately to politicize everything. This idea of like, oh, let's not politicize this disaster is bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. We've moved beyond this, okay?
Them into partisan politics. But I was responding to a question where someone asked me, what racism have I experienced in recent years? And I answered honestly. Most of that racism has come from the modern left. It's happening.
Yeah, the backtracking into like a more moderate position doesn't work in the real world, okay? Like the coming out of the gates swinging with the fucking psychotic take only to like backtrack it into like a more moderate position is just not going to work. I mean, I know that. I'm a media guy who's most famous for saying America deserved 9/11. Okay? Let me explain to you that, like, those who care enough to understand the truth behind your sentiment are going to seek it, but the overwhelming majority of people are just going to hear America deserved 9/11 and move on. They're going to be like, Hasan? This guy's a fucking communist, terrorist, Al-Qaeda supporter. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, he's not even interested in having a real, more moderate conversation. That much is very obvious in the way that he's dancing around it.
You took it to another level on Friday. In addition to the comment we played, you took issue with comments from Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She reportedly said, quote, "We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice." About that, you said, "These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK."
Yeah, like, it's insane. It's an insane take. It's absolutely a nutty take, okay? One thing I will say, a white person oftentimes can get away with saying that. A brown person going to get a lot more scrutiny. Vivek's big problem here is that he thinks he's fucking white. Brother, you are not white, okay? You're not white. You say that shit, there's going to be way more scrutiny coming at you, okay? People like Dana Bash are going to make fucking cookie dough out of you, okay? Donald Trump says shit like that on a daily fucking basis because he has, one, he's white, and he's the great white hope. He's the savior of all whites. He's white man's Barack Obama, okay? But also, he's more telegenic. He doesn't get into, like, the loser, like, debate shit. You know what I mean? He's just, like, punchy. Bro, just watch the chat. People are going to hit you with the "you are also not white." I mean, I don't give a shit.
You know, I'm sure the KKK was responsible.
A white person would never get to say that without backlash? No, of course there would be backlash. What are you, fucking silly? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying, can you overcome the backlash? Hello? Because right now, Big Homie is not overcoming the backlash. He's not. Not doing a great job. Anyway.
For more than a century's worth of horrific lynchings, rapes, murders of black people. How in any way are the views you're talking about comparable to the views?
Did you just backtrack your take just like Vivek did? What? What part of my take did I just backtrack? Explain in clear terms. I mean, yeah, what am I doing? This is like definitely bait. Okay,
and
let's keep going.
atrocities committed by the KKK.
What I said is the Grand Wizards of the KKK would be proud of what they would hear her say, because there's nothing more racist than saying that your skin color predicts something about the content of your viewpoints or your
You didn't just say they
ideas.
would be proud. You said these are the words of the modern
Yeah, she goes, nope, that's not what you said. Here's what you said.
wizards of the modern KKK.
It is the same spirit. You're right about that, Dana. I think it is the same spirit to say that I can look at you and based on just your skin color, that I know something about the content of your character. That I
Yeah, he goes a little bit into it.